So a lot of people get caught up in the fear of the unknown. And the reason why I wanted to talk about the fear of the unknown is basically because I think it's something that is a common thing that really is a huge destructive force that, prevails over civilization and society. And it's just a very common thing, you know. And one thing I realized really at like kind of a later age, not really an early age, because to some degree I had a fascination with the unknown. Whether it be insects, any animal that I wasn't too familiar with, or the concept of anything outside myself spiritually. I had a fear of it, like an extreme fear of it, actually. But then there was also an extreme fascination with it. But one thing that I realized most of most of all, and the main important thing is, when I got older, I realized the biggest thing that I should probably be afraid of is people, not what I don't know. It's not some alien race or some unknown race or some pagan religious people that have some weird cult-like religion and practices, or some race. A lot of times people are just racist. They're unfamiliar with race, so they're afraid. They have no clue how to even start with something that's not like them or doesn't look like them. But I found that the biggest people that are going to hurt you, or the biggest people that hurt me, were the closest people to me. People that claim to be Christians, people that were in church, people that were not even religious at all, but just people in general. So all I'm saying is sometimes the very thing that's going to stab you in the back, or like the horror movies tear your throat out, is not what you don't know and what seems unknown to you or weird or alien. It's the people very close to you, even some you might think are your friends, that you think are friends. It's people. It's the ones that seem normal, or what you're so familiar with that's going to destroy you. I'll say it again, what you're familiar with is the thing that's probably going to be the thing to destroy you. Already is destroying you. It reminds me of that scene from I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Men in Black 1, the very first one. And it's funny how, they had Will Smith do his testing, and part of the training was they put them in a simulation, and they had, the backdrop was kind of like a empty, I'm just guessing New York street, but an empty street. So you had like one alien dangling from what was that thing called? A traffic light or something. And then you had one doing something in another, and you had a little girl with, I think it was quantum physics textbooks or whatever. And Will Smith was the only smart one, because all the other stupid, brainwashed, trigger-happy agents, or whatever you want to call them, officers from different various backgrounds and stuff, they all, shot just anything that wasn't human. They shot everything but the little girl. But then, if you remember, if you've seen the scene, Will Smith was saying how, look, the one that's dangling from the light, he's just doing pull-ups. He's just exercising. He's not doing anything. He's not hurting anybody. He's just exercising. And one that's just standing there, he's just snarling. Of course, he's snarling, but he's not doing anything threatening. But the little girl, like I say again, the human being, everybody's familiar, the innocent-looking one, the little girl, was the very one that was actually an alien that was not, that was harmful and was up to exactly no good. Because no little girl has the intellect or would have the interest, usually, to be reading quantum physics books. So obviously, I'm assuming she was an evil alien, but even human or not, she's probably up to something very serious and diabolical if she's reading quantum physics books. But I'm just using that as an example to say, like, it's how people think so close-minded that anything just strange to them, they just freak out all of a sudden. And they are so dumb. Like, they're so ignorant and so just impulsive and weird, and they do so much harm. But that's their mentality. People are really like that. And then, a lot of times people will say, they'll say, oh, well, the definition of insanity is doing the same action over and over again, expecting a different result. But the funny thing is, that kind of sounds like most people. And I don't even mean people that suffer from clinical mental illnesses, or, people that are unstable mentally, or just extremist, or just extreme, in themselves. Like, I'll admit, me personally, I can go to extremes, and I'm a person who some people would call extreme, because I can be very angry and very violent. So I can have a very extreme loving nature, but I also can be very extreme in terms of negative and violence and anger, especially anger and violence, which I'll admit, some degree of me kind of likes that I have that tendency, because what that forces me to do is, how they say sometimes a person couldn't, I'll use a cliche like they can't pull the trigger, Well, I'm the person that would been pulled the trigger 6-7 times already, and your jaw is wide open, like, oh, you didn't have to ask that, that escalated quickly. So I would say I wouldn't want to change that part of myself, because when shit hits the fan, I'm that person that's going to snap into action, and you're not going to have to ask me twice if I really need to. But what, it's just like people say they have all these fucking cliches and all these wise sayings and all this shit, and they're a lot of hypocrites, man, because they're really the ones who are insane. I don't even know if they even realize it. So hey, on a side note, does anybody remember the cartoon? I just laugh because I guess there was a time period, and some people say it was the 90s, which I think it really was the 90s, where extreme was the thing. Like, remember that movie Harold and Kumar? Extreme cheddar, bro. Extreme. Even into like the 2000s. Triple X, Vin Diesel. Remember Extreme Dinosaurs? It was like a Saturday morning cartoon. I don't know. Come on, please tell me you remember. You remember Extreme Dinosaurs, Street Sharks. Remember that? Everyone already knows what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is. But I'm just going off on like a little tangent, because I think it's hilarious. Because they used to have like these cheesy songs, But yeah, everything was extreme. Like, I watched these YouTube videos where they critique this guy. I think his name is Rob Liefeld. And his art, I'm not gonna lie. Some things about his some things, I'll admit, some things are kind of cool about his art. But let's just say there's a lot of room for improvement. I can say it for a lot of people, but yeah, there's a lot of room for improvement. But yeah, it's just so extreme. The huge guns that look like vacuum cleaners, the 1,000 pouches on the legs and around the waist. Pouches. I don't know what the hell they're carrying in these pouches, man. But you know what I'm talking about. People who know what I'm talking about. Characters like Deadpool and Omega Red, and just some of the revised versions of characters. But you know what? There were a lot of cool things about that time period too. About the art. I don't know, does anybody remember that Sega Dreamcast? I think they had it on. The Spawn game. Spawn in the Demon's Hand. I actually wish they would make more games kind of modeled like that now. I mean, some of the
Obviously that like 90s extreme flair was a little much, but I mean, just kind of the look of the game itself and the kind of the gameplay. They need to they need to go back and look into that kind of, make something similar to that. It would actually probably be pretty cool. Hey, does anybody remember when who didn't? Do you remember anybody who didn't have cable and remember shit? I forgot the number of the channel, but do you remember the WB? Remember the WB? Do you remember? Do you remember when Jamie Foxx had his own sitcom? Remember that? Does anybody remember that? Please tell me you remember that. Do you remember when Jamie Foxx had his own sitcom? Oh Lord. Ugh. Ugh. Do you remember when Jamie Foxx had his own sitcom? And do you remember the pie episode? Please tell me you remember the sweet potato pie episode. Please. It wasn't even that funny, but it's funnier now looking back on it because I was like a kid and didn't know a lot about like adult humor and stuff. Funny thing is, my father used to make shit. He probably still does, and they're actually really good too. He makes like very excellent sweet potato pies. But yeah, it's just funny because my father actually makes sweet potato pies. But there was a sweet potato pie episode of I forgot if it was called the Jamie Foxx show or whatever. But oh man, it's so funny because everyone knows who Jamie Foxx is now. But do you remember the sitcom? Do you remember the WB? Do you remember Michigan J Frog? Just wait until like people start making sex allegations and Me Too type of movements about Michigan J Frog. It'll come to light that Michigan J Frog was sexually harassing people at the WB headquarters. Hey, does anybody remember that cartoon called the Roswell Conspiracies? Please, come on, please tell me you remember. Remember, you know what Roswell is, right? Okay. Do you remember the live action show? Remember Buffy the Vampire Slayer? I'm delving into that world. Dawson's Creek. Oh God, ugh. I have the most disgusting memories. Actually, I tell you the truth, I enjoyed watching some of those shows. The Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Sarah Michelle Gellar, um, Dawson's Creek. But I'm gonna tell you, and this is kind of dark, but it's honest fucking truth. At that period of my life, now that I remember how depressed I was, even at a young age, I was like suicidal. Really, now that I think of it, and I'm being not. That's not even a joke. I'm laughing because that's my past. Obviously, that was my life then. But I remember the state of mind I was in. But on a lighter note, anyway, before I trailed off, I'm going in fucking circles. I'm buffering and spinning. I'm going in circles, man. I'm drifting. Tokyo drift. I'm drifting. But basically, I'm rambling. I'm ranting. This is a rant video. This is a rant video. Okay. So basically, do you remember the Roswell conspiracies? The cartoon. It was a horrible piece of shit drawn cartoon, and it was it was just really weird. And it was like about this guy, and it was about aliens. And you know Roswell. Come on, Area 51. You know. It was about Roswell. And do you remember? Please, please tell me, because this is the most hilarious thing I think I've ever seen on a cartoon. This guy, well, this creature was an alien, and he had sunglasses on. Picture this. He looked like something out of the Matrix or something, right? So I think the main character was on the ground, like literal ground, concrete pavement level of like the ground, walking, and this dude jumps off of like a building. I don't know if it was a skyscraper, but he literally jumped off of a building, and he goes, shh, and he lands, and he actually when he lands, you hear, and his leg is broken, right? And he has the most fucking nonchalant, I'm Mr. Cool Guy, like smirk on his face, and he has these sunglasses on, and he just kind of like, I think he cracks his leg back somehow, like the bone was snapped or something was dislocated, but he cracks it back, and then he just sort of gives the main character guy this sort of like sly smirk, like eh. like obviously I'm an alien, obviously I'm not human, obviously I'm probably gonna heal in like a day, or I'm gonna heal in a couple hours or whatever. I just thought that was the most hilarious thing I've ever fucking seen. If anyone has the pleasure of owning that somehow on DVD or even VHS or whatever, and you remember that scene, just enjoy the laughter with me. Do you remember that shit? Do you remember this look on his face, man? Do you remember that? he didn't. Well, I don't think he said anything, but he looked at the other guy like, whatever. Eh. When he had sunglasses on, he just walks off, and the other guy is kind of like, okay, and he knows obviously, okay, he's an alien.